Join TWR in 2023. TWR Thirsty Thursday and Lotto Pics. What is up, team? Chuck with Traders War Room. Guys, before we get into the video, I've been getting a lot of direct messages, and I want to highlight something that Traders War Room offers, okay? The direct message is centered around coaching and mentoring. Now, I want to let you guys know that we offer that. We call it TWR one-to-one mentoring. And basically, what you got right now is you got a choppy market that a lot of newer investors are having issues navigating through because they're seeing a lot of 180 reversals, they're seeing a lot of entry and exits, and they're not getting the right entry, the right exit, or they have too many strategies that they're utilizing, and none of them are being consistent and creating consistent profitability. So what I'm going to do is I got a 50-second video. I hope you watch it. And if you need some guidance, you need some mentoring, you need some coaching, hit me up, man. The links are in the description. I'd be glad to get you guys squared away. Every session is focused on you, the investor. We deep dive, we strip you away, get you a good plan and a strategy so that you can be consistently profitable, and you get the recording. So without further ado, let's get into the video, and I hope you enjoy the promotion. And don't forget, at the end of the video, we got the upcoming classes and all different upcoming products and services that Traders War Room has. Without further ado, let's go to war. Traders War Room is your one-stop shop. Try our TWR one-to-one mentoring. Does the market have you feeling like this, or wanting to rip your hair out while you watch your account dwindle? If that's you, then Traders War Room has you covered. Our one-to-ones focus on you as a trader or investor. The Zoom session connects you with a TWR professional. Whether we're covering charts, developing a plan of attack, or being strategic and deep diving on the how, why, and execution of trade plans. TWR one-to-ones will give you the confidence to attack, conquer, destroy, and make the market bend the knee in 2023. Join TWR and bow to no one. Book your session today. The link is in the description or on the website at traderswarroom.com. Let's go to war. Stay tuned at the end for new upcoming events. How's TWR doing thus far? All right, so let's talk about the Tesla swing first. We went ahead and entered at 193, exited at 260. That gave us a push for $67 per contract, and our running total on the day is 67 so far. Next up, SPY. And man, we had to wait on this one, but this is a true example of patience paying. We entered this at $1, and man, we had to wait a while, but we went ahead and secured at 150 just because of the volatility. That gave us $50 per contract, and our running total was 117 on the day. And something I forgot to mention on the first alert, I wanted to bring your attention to the date and time stamp, guys. We put a date and time stamp on every alert that we have because we keep things 100% around Traders War Room. We went ahead and closed out our American Airlines swing. Now, we'd been in this one for a while, and we were just waiting for today. Entered at 65, exit 133. That gave us the 2X, baby. $68 per contract, running total 185. Let's talk about FDX. This was a day trade, and guys, this got some bullish news in the pre-market, and we went ahead and got into this at the bell, and this paid off huge. Hopped in at 80, popped out at 293, guys. As you develop into professional traders, you got to understand this term right here. No greed, man. You see green, take green. That gave us a whopping 213 per contract, and we're now 400 on the day. Let's talk about our lucid swing. We went ahead and took a small loss on this one, guys. It just wasn't moving as fast as we thought it was going to, and our money could make more money elsewhere. So we came in at 68, exited at 41. That gave us negative $27 per contract, and our running total now is 373 on the day. But we were all smiles with our PayPal swing, and this is another example of how staying calm, cool, and collected pays the bills, y'all. Entered 263, exited 480. That gave us plus 217 per contract, and brought our running total up to 590 on the day. $100 to $1,000 per day is possible. when you're a TWR market warrior. So quit wasting money. That's not making money. Join TWR. The links are in the description. What's hot and what's not. So the market absolutely just destroyed it once again. But today was kind of weird because if you notice right here, the NASDAQ and the S&P ran hard as hell, but the Dow was lagging behind. And it was kind of interesting because the other ones ran so hard until we hit about midday, and then NASDAQ and the S&P definitely took a dump, a big dump actually. But it was kind of a odd day because you had NASDAQ and the S&P, which also have some of the Dow stocks in them, but overall the Dow was red and NASDAQ and S&P were green, and so you had what's considered a mixed market, but definitely it was a very booming market for the technology and a few other sectors as well. Here's your futures, and futures are green for the most part. But you know as well as I do, we don't pay attention to the futures until it hits pre-market, because pre-market futures are what will give us an indication on whether we'll open higher or we'll open lower. Here's your sector performance, and of course, communication services and communication discretionaries were doing the big killing of it today, and we had energy and consumer staples as the laggers. So definitely, maybe not closing out this week, but we're going to pay attention to consumer staples and energy moving into next week because we're due to have a little bit of a rebound. Here's your flow, and we definitely are looking a little bit more bearish than we are bullish, and that has to do with some of the earnings that we had, and we'll get into some of the earnings in the news section. But yeah, so a little bit of the sentiment that was riding on that huge boost that we saw the past 3 days is kind of subsiding a little bit, and we got a little more bearish sentiment moving into the market tomorrow, and potentially, depending on what the market does tomorrow, we might get that into next week as well. Here's your dark pool, and of course you got the big three right there as usual, SPY, Q, and Apple. Of course you got some of the other big ones as well that are coming into dark pool as well. You got Amazon, you got Microsoft, you got Meta, and you got a few other ones. XOM is on here as well. We haven't seen XOM on here for a while, so definitely paying attention to XOM as far as an energy play. And here's your top 20 trending stocks. And no surprise, guy, right there, Apple, #1 trending stock. I mean, the general kind of went down in after hours, and that's, basically waving the white flag saying, hey, guys, retreat, retreat. We need to recoup so we can go back and attack the market. Also, you got some of the bigger ones over there. You got Google and Goog. Ford definitely did not do so well during after hours. Silvergate was having a pretty decent day. It's squeezing a little bit, so we're paying attention to that. And, of course, you got the SPY and the Q and the QCOM. Starbucks was another one. Dumped on earnings, kind of tried to make a little comeback in after hours, and still kind of had a little subsiding. So we might actually look for a Starbucks trade tomorrow. Here's your top winners, and we'll be paying attention to a few of these penny stocks as we close out the week. I like Vino for a potential play. I also like Lucy for a potential play. And we got a few other ones that are in, the $1, $2 range as well that look pretty decent, moving on some decent volume. Here's your top losers, and again, you guys already know the way I like to look at losers. I like to look at losers as potential rejection from the bottom. So we'll pay attention, see if any of these bounce from the bottom. A lot of times when you get that knee jerk, and it comes down, say, 15, 20%, you usually can make some of that back, not the whole thing back, but, maybe 50% of the loss back, or even 25%, so you can get decent little gains. And no surprise here, you're most active. You got the TQ up there, Tesla, Amazon, Meta, Carvana actually was banging pretty hard. We're paying attention to Carvana again, all right? This one was one that kind of shorted and shot up pretty good, cooled back down, but we're starting to see the remnants of the short again. And typically, if you get another second short squeeze after you dump the first time, you usually can get double the previous short squeeze. So if we start squeezing again, it's a good potential that we can run past that $19 range that we got to last time. Here's some unusual option activity. Obviously, we're paying attention to the big names, but a couple other names other than the normal big tickers, you know, the NVDA, the Apple, the Amazons, all those that I want you to pay attention to are these right here. CCL, AMD, and QCOM. Paying attention to those because these are definitely some ones that can move pretty decently and have all kind of had some jumps and then some recent dumps. Okay, AMD definitely ran really hard, okay, and now is taking a little bit of a cool down stance, but it definitely could find some wind underneath its sails and just take back off again, and $100 is just right around the corner for that thing. And a new one that I haven't put on here for a while, your top open interest. And definitely the big names are here with a lot of call and put open interest volume, which gives us those ideas for potential trades. All right, so your top news, and unless you are living underneath a rock, you guys already know about this. Apple earnings show steepest sales decline in more than 6 years. So let's look into this a little bit. Apple posted its largest revenue decline in more than 6 years amid underwhelming sales in the iPhones, Mac, and wearables. But its shares pared back most of their initial losses in after-hours trading Thursday after the company blamed its smartphone declines on supply issues. So we'll see what happens. It still had a steep decline. You know, a lot of times you see some of those bounce back plays from people coming in, but I don't really pay attention to much in after hours. I really look for what it's doing in pre-market so we can get an idea of how it's going to open and maybe adjust throughout the day. So we'll definitely pay attention to it. Apple is still extremely popular, has a lot of pricing power, and it definitely can take a dump and run, as we've seen other big juggernaut ones do, like PayPal, like Microsoft, and a few other ones as well. So we'll pay attention to this tomorrow and see how this plays out. And on the back burner, Ford reports $2 billion losses in 2022, says profit was left on the table. Starbucks stocks fall as results weighed down by China's sales, and they missed their estimates. We're going to pay attention to that one for a put play moving into tomorrow. Many of the big companies are trying to blame the poor earnings on a weak dollar, but they don't want you to believe it, okay? A lot of these companies, they're just losing out on their margins, and they're not able to produce. People aren't buying the stuff in the type of quantity that they were back in the day. Everyone's penny crunching. And finally, the Pentagon says it's tracking suspected Chinese spy balloon over U.S. This also gives more fuel to the fame for the ban on TikTok. So paying attention to that, because that could throw some of that revenue stream going towards Meta. Stocks I like for trades. All right, so let's talk about SPY. Here's how we're going to play SPY, all right? We got the top trigger and the bottom trigger. We're going to be patient. We start to close above that 416.76. We have to respect the trend, and we start to go long, or at least consider long, if we can keep up the momentum. The rest of the market and the general sentiment will give us the idea whether we're confident about long or not. And if we start to close below that 412.53, we have to understand that the trend is coming, and we got to expect that we're going to go retest the below 410. And we're going to go ahead and kick off this Lotto Friday with your free trade alert right here. All right, so if the top trigger triggers, we're going to go ahead and look at this contract. I'm pushing out to February 6th, and I'm looking at the 420 call. That's primarily the big one that'll have the most volume. Or we're looking at the 419. So basically, we'll see what we got. Probably price will push us towards the 420, but that's only if we start closing above that top trigger and we have the sentiment and trend is in our favor for going bullish. If the negative side pulls, we're going to go ahead and look at that 410 put first. That's where the volume's at, or the 409. Pretty much anything around there, we're going to have decent volume. We don't want to go too far out the money, though, because we're likely to reject some of the levels on our way down if we do get into that downward trend. So we want to stay at the money, in the money as much as possible. So 410 is the preferred one. We can also go 49, maybe 408, depending on the price action. All right, we're paying attention to Apple. I got our triggers right there. We're looking at 146, basically above 147 for some trending to the upside, possibly retest that 150 area. But if we start to peak below that 143.17 at opening bell, we're probably headed down to the 140 to retest. We could even probably see 137 if we get a cascading effect of downward pressure. Meta, I told you guys Meta was going to peak up and we're going to pull back down. So we got our triggers, 195.85 for triggering towards continuation to the upside. I don't think we got enough in us right now to go knock on the door of 200, but who knows. However, we're also looking at below 180.04, recouping some of those huge gains that we had. 170 is definitely in the cards on this particular trade. We're going to utilize 188 as our kind of 50-50 middle line. If we start peaking above that and closing above that, we can imagine going to retest that 195 area. If we stay below that, most likely the trending pressure is going to keep pushing us towards the downside, and we're likely going to go retest the 180 and potentially catch a cascading effect down to 170 as well. Google, I'm not feeling bullish on this at all. I'm more on the bear side of this. I think we go down and we start knocking on the door of the $98 range. So also, we're going to go ahead and get into our next free trade alert for Lotto Friday. I'm not really looking to the long side on this one. So if we trigger the put side, this is the one we're going to look at, that February 10 $100 put. That's what I'm going to go ahead and get into if the downside trigger goes. If the top trigger goes, I'll look at it and pay attention and make a tactical decision at that time. But I do think that we're going to see the downward trending on this particular ticker. Earnings were not stellar. There's a lot of legal issues with Google, antitrust stuff, all that stuff. It's all pointing to the downside, and I think we're going to slide over the next few days and into next week. QCOM, paying attention to this, high probability of us going down lower, breaking through this 130 area of support, and then it would be pretty much a downward trend all the way to 125. So we could definitely get a real decent move if we get that downward pressure. So we're paying attention to it real close. And finally, I'm going to go ahead and end here with Starbucks. I got some levels for you. We start to peak back up and rotate around to that 110 area. We'll start to think about going long, but I don't think we're there. I think we're going to continue to slide to the downside. I mean, on that earnings news, it pushed all the way down to 103 and then came back and got a little of its loss back. But I think we go knocking on the door at 106, and then that would open up the downward trend to 104, potentially 105. Excuse me, the potential of 105 to going to 104. And you know what? Because I'm feeling kind of dangerous, I'm going to give one more, and we're going to go ahead and put a free alert on this one. Tesla, I'm feeling a little dangerous, man. We've had a killer week. I'd like to make it a banging week, okay? So Tesla, we got our top and bottom trigger right there. We also got a 50-50 line. If we start tracking below that 50-50 line, high probability of us coming down to retest those 170 to 160s. If we stay above that 50-50 line, we could easily retest the previous highs of those 193, 195. So it all depends on that 50-50 line. I'm going to give two options for the call side and the put side. We're going to go ahead and look at the 210 call and the 205 call if the top line triggers. And same idea, we start to look bearish and we closing below our 50-50 line. We're looking at that 175 and that 180 put. That's it, team. Don't forget, upcoming TWR classes. Plan your battles with Traders War Room classes. Join TWR on 5 February at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time and learn how to control your emotions and manage your risk. Listen, emotional trading is an account killer every single time. But managing your risk and planning your attack assists going from this to this. Calm, cool, and collected. So you can win at trading and gain consistent profitability. Join us on 5 February and learn how to manage your risk and control your emotions while you trade. Going from this to this. Register today at traderswarroom.com/upcoming classes or use the link in the description. I'll see you there. Traders War Room Trading University is happy to announce open registration for our next option fundamental course. Did Wall Street make you feel like a complete loser in 2022? Or was everything going great and you blinked just for a split second and got repeatedly kicked in the you-know-what over and over again? TWR is here to help you. Our university's fundamental course is an in-depth 5-week-long course that's done live via Zoom platform. Our virtual classroom is where you can interact with the instructor, other students, or see copies of the classes right there on the platform and rivals that of traditional online education. Testimonials from previous class graduates are proof that our cradle-to-the-grave approach works in giving you consistently profitable skills to trade options. Registration is open today. Links are in the description or go to traderswarroom.com. I will see you there. Let's go to war. Join the TWR Investment Club. Check out our free chat to learn more. Make the market bend the knee in 2023. Join TWR and bow to no one. The link is in the description or on the website at traderswarroom.com. Let's go to war.